Shame, Daniel. Yeah, and I think your optimism is just so infectious, and I'm so grateful for the chance that I've had to learn from you and from that optimism. And it's a constant reminder that you do have a choice. But just to dive into a couple of the questions, and I mean, I think we sort of positioned you as someone that's got experience in going through this MBA conveyor belt, and giving some insights about that, and whether it's useful and important for students, etc. But maybe let's just kick off that journey. The discussion about it from Joseph's perspective here. How important is the institution where you do your MBA, and then maybe just go into your experience at Henley and your network that you built up with other MBA colleagues, etc.
So, Joseph, it's a great question, and it depends largely for me on A, what your aspirations are, and B, why you're studying your MBA. So many people take an MBA as a way to get promoted or a new job. And all the studies come out that, the top ranked schools are going to get you X amount of salary or a door anyways. And I did my MBA because I was sick and tired of working with people like Peter, who was so far past me from an educational perspective. And I needed to do the MBA just to stand on it's just a ticket to the game. It doesn't win the game for you. It doesn't teach you the things that you learn through business, but it does give you a ticket to the game where you can sit at the table and you can have the discussions. And I found Henley to be ranked within the top 50 and affordable for me on a South African. I paid for it myself. Okay, that's a lie because iFactory paid for half of it, my company, but I paid for it out of my money. So it was the best that I could afford. I would have probably preferred to have gone to something Stanford would have been like top of my radar, but on a South African basis, it's just unattainable. And Henley's in the top 50 in the world. So that is a big tick in the box. In addition to that, I have a South African passport, and living in Africa is something where I believe that you need to have an insurance policy. Your skills need to be relevant to the world, and you need to have a plan that if you want to move, people want you. And the MBA was one of those ticks as well, which says I can work somewhere else. And I have credibility to work in Europe, and I can work in the States or whatever. So those were the things. I've got another question. What is the most important subject? And again, Joseph, that's going to really depend on your drive to study. So a lot of engineers get into an MBA, and that's hopefully to teach them personality, but that or business operations or whatever. From my perspective, there was a big emphasis, I thought, on finance, but I actually did my thesis on reputation management, which is a really good subject within the Henley choice. And reputation is so important today in our connected world, but is ignored by professionals. So in my findings of the thesis were from the 78 people I interviewed from sales and sales management, everybody says that reputation is important. 4 were working on their reputation. So that quickly became the most important subject for me, because as you might see, I'm not afraid of the limelight. I enjoy being center stage, which means my reputation should be going before me, and you need to work on that. And how do you do that? So that was the most important, and an unlikely left center subject that came from the MBA. I didn't even know it was a subject. So I thought it was finance, so that I could get around the table with people like Pete and have discussions. And I was implementing and selling financial solutions into big organizations. But honestly, there's so much more that you learn through your MBA than just subjects. And we'll dive into that as well. Maybe I can detract or go back, rewind all the way. I went to 9 schools, and my upbringing was probably as stable as playing table tennis on the Titanic. So I did not come from a traditional background, and I didn't have the backing of my folks in anything. So instead of going to varsity when everyone was going and studying and drinking and having a good party. I had to go to work, and it took me a very long time to get into tertiary education. And the MBA just short-circuited all of that. So I didn't do a BA. I didn't do an undergrad. I went straight into masters, and that was a steep learning curve for me on 3 fronts. First, how to think and write in a means for scholastic or needs. That was a massive learning curve. The second thing was just getting over my own ego, that there were people brighter than me that were out there, and learning from these folks who have come through a studying background, academic background, because it's a very different world. And then the third is the humility to say, hey guys, this is who I am. It's like, I'm older than most of you. Let's get into the studies. And in those small groups who make a success of your MBA, that was really good learning for me. So yeah, I was not the traditional go and do engineering, work for half a year, do your MBA and come out there. It's not the way I did it.
Daniel, thank you. I mean, I think that's so insightful. And, Joseph has said, thank you very much. That's great insights there.